Hello again, and welcome to another episode of 1001 by 1, where each week we take a film out of the book, 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, discuss it, analyze it, and ultimately decide whether or not it should be in the book. My name is Adam St. John.
My name is Britt Reinholtz-Hobson.
And my name is Joey Rogate.
And before we travel to the mean streets of Chicago and the not so mean streets of St. Joseph's Catholic High School to talk about Hoop Dreams, we will bring you some recommendations, as we always do. Britt, b-ball phenomenon as you are, I think it would make the most sense for you to start with recommendations this week.
Of course, I did just drop the lore that I used to play basketball when I was a kid for many years, honestly. Funny thing, though, I didn't keep up with it. So I was trying to think of, what could I possibly, marry with this documentary that I felt would be relevant. And so back in 2019, Shudder acquired the rights to a very interesting documentary called Horror Noire. And it's all about the history of Black horror in horror movies, and it's based on a book, and it's just explaining the history of Black culture and creators in horror. And as an avid horror fan, I totally loved this documentary. It introduced me to so many movies that I had never seen, like Ganja and Hess and Sweetheart. And it's a super nuanced conversation about not only Black culture's influence on horror, but also the racism that exists within the horror tropes that are still being used to this day. I really highly recommend you check this out. The book is also really good. So yeah, I guess it's a double recommend. Horror Noire, the documentary, and the book.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
super solid.
I'll allow it for, LeBron Britt over there.
Yeah. Oh my God. I was a point guard, so, Heyo, Catholic school. Yeah. I also was so small that I would just get knocked over because I was such a beanpole. Anyways, we don't need to talk about that. We can talk about other things. Somebody else do a recommend.
Joey, what are you bringing this week?
So I also did a documentary from 2016, OJ, Made in America.
That is mine. That is mine as well.
God, you too. Jesus fucking Christ.
Boom, boom, boom. It's awesome, and everyone should watch it. It's one of the best documentaries ever made. It's
really good.
Melissa and I rewatched it about a week and a half ago over a couple of nights. I just think it's so ingenious the way that they go through the life of OJ while going through essentially what it was to live in LA as a Black human being from the 50s all the way through the mid 90s. And it's revelatory. I was actually talking about the moment where the one juror just flat out said that she voted not guilty because it was retaliation for Rodney King. I was like, holy shit. They are just coming right out and saying it was crazy. It was, it's great. It's so good. It's so good. I can't re-recommend this because I already have, but I also rewatched The Last Dance, which is a basketball
The Last Dance
docuseries.
That was my other one.
Yeah, so good.
I haven't watched it, but great.
They're both great. But
I've seen
OJ Made in America actually does more of what I think kind of what Hoop Dreams does. So
yes.
I agree.
So yeah. Yes. So Horror Noire and OJ Made in America, two documentaries focusing on Black culture and Black people, which is great. And that is going to lead us into our conversation on Hoop Dreams, which came out in 1994, directed by Steve James, who have you two seen any other Steve James directed items?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Didn't have time.
So I will just say I did not rewatch these, but he did direct a movie called Prefontaine, which is about the runner.
He did Prefontaine? I've seen Prefontaine.
He did. The only reason why I know that is because they filmed part of it at my high school's stadium because it closely resembled the training stadium for when Steve Prefontaine went to the Olympics. So that's a weird. They shut down our high school for I don't know, whatever. But he also directed a very, very sweet documentary that I really like called Life Itself. It's the documentary about Roger Ebert.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wanted to watch that.
It's good. And it really goes into the history about like how him and Siskel met and how they fucking hated each other for a long time until they fucking loved each other, and like just how that worked. Really very sweet documentary.
Sometimes that dynamic works really well. I feel like Joey and I are constantly being so mean to you on this podcast, and yet we all get along so well. I'm
gonna take that at face value. So I'm gonna believe that's true. So it is a documentary. So it's weird to refer to people in the cast, but essentially, here is who this movie revolves around. We have our two young, I would say when we meet them, like 8th grade into 9th graders. We have William Gates and Arthur Agee, and then we have Emma Gates and Curtis Gates. That would be Will's mom and his brother. And then we have Sheila and Bo. Those are Arthur's parents. And then the only other person that I really listed by name is Gene Pingatore, who is the head coach at St. Joe's, who is kind of a dick. And I think we'll explore that dickishness as we go through.
There's a lot of that in this movie, though.
That's true.
I also think that I think there are grounds to say it's more than being dickish personally, but we can get into that going forward. Absolutely.
So there was no other film by Steve James in the book. This movie is pretty beloved, 98% critical, 92% audience. It is in Ebert's book of great movies. This movie was up for 1 Academy Award. It was up for Best Editing. Can I read verbatim the story? Because I think
go for it.
Rather than like just push this off, for all the film award nerds, in case you've made it this far in life and you didn't know this, Hoop Dreams, considered by many to be the best documentary of all time, was not nominated for Best Documentary at the Oscars that year.
It broke their system. They had to change
it.
Yeah.
According to Roger Ebert, reliable sources said members of the Academy's documentary nomination committee had a system in which one would wave a flashlight on screen when they gave up on the film. When a majority of lights flashed, the film was turned off. Hoop Dreams was watched, but the nomination system at the time was based on total points earned when voters gave ratings from 4 to 10 for each documentary. A group of voters gave the lowest possible rating to Hoop Dreams and other films. The flashlight system was ended and the rating scale was reduced. Siskel, who was also objecting to Hoop Dreams being passed by the nomination, said that it led to more widespread media coverage of the film. So, in one way, those people suck. And clearly
absolutely
didn't know what they were watching. But it's hard to not see what Siskel's saying, that the rejection of the documentary for Best Documentary, but also Best Picture, because it was being pushed for a Best Picture nomination, actually led to it making more at a box office and becoming more of a phenomenon. So it is kind of a, that sucks, but that's good. But what a bunch of shitheads. I mean,
that's tough. That's tough.
Here's the thing. Documentaries are not for everybody. Not everybody enjoys them. And I do think that Hoop Dreams really kind of changed the documentary game to what we have nowadays, which is like all of these readily accessible trash documentaries that you can get basically every single week on Netflix or HBO or Hulu, whatever you want to find. So it does not surprise me that this kind of epic of documentary was just not for them, because it wasn't what they were expecting. And honestly, they'd probably seen like 18 that day and they're like, I'm done. I don't want to sit through 3 more hours, right? Because it's a long process. You have to be in it.
Yes.
Yeah, very true. But it did, the fact that it was up for editing like the same year that like Forrest Gump and Speed were like, that's cool. That's a really cool way to recognize the movie. Speed Forever, of course. It won the DGA that year for Best Documentary Feature. Hey, gang, do we think that this movie is in the National Film Registry?
Yes.
Yes.
It is. It is. And we might have mentioned it before because some of the other movies that were inducted that year, former episode, Cool Hand Luke, former episode, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, former episode, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then former BPC episodes, French Connection, The Sting, and Miracle on 34th Street. So
Jesus
a
fucking
bunch of
Christ.
movies
They
were
just
in
like,
that year.
We gotta step it up. We need to make sure everything's in this year.
Yeah, that was probably a good year. Pretty good year. Do we
year.
think that this movie is on the IMDb top 250?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes. Wow, Joey, you and I are so
look at that.
in it together.
Ever the optimist. Unfortunately, it is not. It is not on the IMDb top 250. Joker is still there at 88. Okay, cool. Hey, do we like lists?
Hell yeah.
No, I said you probably would find an interesting list for this or whatever, but I still don't like them.
I don't know if I did or not. I guess we'll let you two be the judges of that when we get to the end of the list. Because there was one of two routes I was going to go, and I went this route. And in April of 2023, Esquire put together a list of the 25 best basketball movies ever made.
Nice.
I'm out immediately.
So, I have seen most of these movies. We'll just go through it. So number 10, because why not? Space Jam coming in at number 10. I should say the OG, not the abominable LeBron version.
Obviously.
I would walk away if you put this other one on.
Number 9, one of the two movies I have not seen on this list, Finding Forrester, which I didn't know was a basketball movie.
I knew it was a sports movie, but I thought it was like tennis. It doesn't have basketball vibes in the name.
English.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some of these I feel like are slight cheats. Like number 8, Uncut Gems is on the list for best, one of the best basketball movies ever made.
Maybe. Okay.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. That's such bullshit. I fucking love Uncut Gems. It's not a basketball movie, but.
We have 7, 6, and 5 are all very much about teams and coaches. So number 7, Glory Road.
Okay.
Which I've seen. Disney produced,
Yes.
just like this next movie. Number 6, Coach Carter. Very much in the same era of films. Number 5, kind of a classic. Shout out to where I got my master's. Hoosiers
Obviously.
coming in at number 5. That's a Gene Hackman, Dennis Hopper film, Britt, in case you were wondering.
Sure. Yep. Sounds great. I'm going to put it on right after this.
It's a good
cool.
movie.
Cool, great. Now here's where I obviously disagree because number 4 is Hoop Dreams. So I'm gonna tell you 3, 2, and 1 are movies I like. Number 3, I think an underrated Spike Lee film, He Got Game, coming in.
Very good.
Oh, I do like He Got Game. I have seen that one. I've seen one.
There you go.
Yes.
Number 2, a movie that Melissa had to introduce to me, and I'm so glad she did because I very much enjoy it, Love and Basketball.
Oh, I've seen that one too.
Good one.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 2. And number 1, do we have any guesses what we think number 1 might be?
Space Jam 2.
I'm sorry, Space Jam 2 and Air Bud are incorrect. They are incorrect.
It should have been Air Bud. It should have been Air Bud.
Yeah.
Is it the one with Leonardo DiCaprio?
No, it is not the Basketball Diaries. It is not.
I'm forgetting the name. I know exactly what it is. Damn it.
It is
Like Mike?
White Men Can't Jump.
Oh, not what I was doing. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is fun, and I very much enjoy
I'm
it.
a big fan.
I just would put Hoop Dreams in front of all those. Personally.
He Got Game and Hoop Dreams, I think, should be 1 and 2.
Although, I will say that The Way Back, the Ben Affleck movie where he's like
Good movie. Yeah.
I really like that movie. I could see
Good
that
movie.
possibly.
I'm going to be honest. I feel like this episode is the episode that I'm so disconnected from you two. Like I'm like, I probably could have skipped this episode and you two would have had like this incredible conversation about basketball.
Would this have been like the Streetcar Named Desire episode
Yes, I really feel like I maybe I'm just going to take my headphones off and be like, all right, bye guys. Because
because we're gonna get into the actual talking about the movie now. So, Hoop Dreams is set in various parts of Chicago, but very much about some of the slums in the late '80s and early '90s. And we follow Cabrini Green. Yes, we follow basically Arthur and William on basically their pursuits to be not just great high school players, but into college and NBA stars. they both end up at St. Joseph's High School. But of course, as the movie progresses, things take a turn, and Arthur does not finish out his time there. William does. And really, it's a movie about the trials and tribulations of what it means to not just be a high school kid, but to be a Black high school kid with dreams of basically getting out of where you are and making it in the NBA. So I want to start with Britt, because you had not seen this before. Is that correct?
I had not seen this before.
Ooh.
And again, I gave you guys a caveat before that I hadn't seen it because I don't find myself connected to sports whatsoever. Like, I played a lot of sports. I went to Catholic school. If you go to Catholic school, you know you play every sport. So I played a lot of sports. I have a family who loves sports, but I'm not connected to it. Even when I was playing it, I didn't really care about it. So I'm going to be honest, you guys, I can understand why this is a very important documentary. I fully understand the gravity that this documentary holds and why it is held up on a pedestal, honestly, why it's held up as like the best documentary ever. I did not connect with it. I tried. I've watched it twice now. And I had a really hard time getting through it. I thought it was really amazing that it showed like the different families within the inner city. I thought that both William and Arthur were such empathetic central forces in this movie, but across the board for me, it lacked focus. And I think that's probably because they had 250 hours worth of footage that they had to cut down into from 10 hours to 6 hours to the 2 hours and 51 minutes that we got. And so, like, please, everybody listening to me today, take what I say with a grain of salt, because it was just that this happened to not work as well for me as it does for everybody else. Once I did research into it, once I started like watching everything that happened afterward, I was totally invested and I really loved it. Like listening to the commentary with William and Arthur talking about this movie, I loved everything about that. But watching the documentary itself just didn't quite hit me the way I anticipated after the accolades that I've been hearing. So that's where I'm coming from in this. I understand I'm wrong. Okay. I understand that already. Don't come for me. But I do have issues with it. And I think I have reasons for issues. It's not just me saying, oh, I think it's stupid, right? I don't think it's stupid. I think it's a really important story, but the actual storytelling didn't quite work.
Joe, what was your familiarity with Hoop Dreams?
I remember my dad renting it from Blockbuster when we were little. And then I hadn't seen it for a while, checked it out a few years ago, probably, probably seen it before this like 2 or 3 times. So it'd been a while. I love this movie. I think it's such an interesting way, and for good and bad, this is, kind of led to how documentaries are made now. The fact that they sat with these, searched and in this community for 6 years or so. I think it's even when you read about, how they kind of picked these 2 boys and everything from it. I think, especially since it's not like William, talk about the 2 kids. It's not like William was a big, a motor on it, but he was still such an interesting person. And I think all the accolades this it deserves.
Yeah, this was a movie I discovered when I was in college, and truly it was a movie I discovered because of the book. It was just one of those things where I had the book and I was flipping through, and because the 3 of us have done Rev Almanac and did 94, I went deep into 94 at one point. I was like, oh, what haven't I seen? And you read about the accolades and you can understand like why it gets all the praise that it gets. And so I watched it in college and dug it. And I probably watched it maybe 4 or 5 years after that. But it had been a minute since I'd seen it. And watching it this time, I think what hit me the most was that this idea, like if you tried to make this a narrative feature, and you kept the same beats, the same ideas, the same, Arthur and, what's happening to Arthur and all of his family stuff, or what's happening to William and all of his family stuff, you'd probably think, you've overwritten the fuck out of this movie. Like it's overwrought, it's emotional, it's melodramatic. Like there's too much. And I think what honestly keeps me so invested is that it's all happening. Like in a narrative film where these would be like cliches and stereotypes and they'd be beaten over your head to like, and I mean, I'm just going to point to the two things that I think are real things that are happening. You know, Arthur having to deal with his dad and his dad's drug addiction and going to jail and then coming out. And then with William being in high school and having a child and then trying to navigate both being a student and focusing on getting recruited. Like if you put that in a, you know, a Ryan Coogler film, it might look good, but it's going to feel a little like, man, you've really crammed a lot into this.
You're
maybe
packing a bunch in there.
Yeah. But the fact that we're seeing it all happen is, it's wildly compelling. And and Britt, kind of like what you said, it makes William and Arthur just so empathetic, so easy to follow and root for throughout the entirety of the movie.
And I think because of when they shot this, no one had any awareness that this was going to be something that was just going to be seen. It was just a thing that was happening. The cameras were there. It's not like today, everybody's so aware because there's so cameras. So Arthur's dad was Arthur's dad and you know, the mom, everybody was who they were, blemishes and all. And I think it's very interesting.
Well, and I also think that it could have been very easy, especially with Arthur's family, you know, especially thinking about they seem to be in very dire straits most of the time. Yeah. It would have been very easy to paint them in a way. And I've talked about this before, how, you know, like I think it was on the Shadow of the Sun episode where he said they're not trying to make poverty look like anything like terrible. Do you know what I mean by that? Like they could have been like, oh, we're gonna show you the dirty down, like how hard it is, and kind of make it even worse than it seems. And the way that they showed it felt respectful, you know, felt like this is how somebody's living. This is not, we're not coming here to exploit that, even though like it's
it never felt exploitative.
Is exploitative in a documentary, but it didn't in that regard. That and I totally appreciate that in this movie. I just felt like it was a little unfocused. That we were bouncing to so many different beats throughout the movie that I really felt like I'm not sure where I need to focus my energy. I don't know what I need to be following the entire time. And for a 3-hour movie, it was fine. And it was good. It's a good documentary. It just didn't connect for me. I guess I don't like beautiful things now. It's my fault.
Well, no, and it's funny because like I from a filmmaking standpoint, this movie is about as ugly and badly shot as you can get. Like it's not like it's a you know, the way documentaries can be filmed now with fucking drones
terrible
everywhere.
Voiceover.
And no, it's not.
Voiceover.
Yes.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
And it's almost, but like.
That adds to the charm of it.
Yeah, that's kind of where, yes.
It doesn't, though. I don't think it does. For me, that was so jarring.
For me, it fits with William and Arthur. It doesn't feel like if it was too polished, it would feel like it's better than them.
No, I don't actually think that. I think if it was polished, it would make a better feature. For me, I think that felt like an afterthought, and it did not add to the movie for me.
I don't know. I think it added to the charm and fit in with
I'm glad it did for you.
Everything.
Again, we're going to be on very different sides for this one, only because it just didn't work for me. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop talking now. And you two, please enjoy.
Well, no, it's my immediate reaction though to the unfocused thing is to just simply go that I disagree, only because like
that's fine.
It's Arthur and Will, and I understand that they have that we go with Curtis for a second, or we look at what Sheila's doing for a second, and I get that, but like. I don't feel like we leave them too much for too long. That I'm.
It adds to them, right? It's Arthur's family finally getting a chance. It's explaining why Will has the weight of everything on his chest. So I think it all works. And honestly, high school kids are unfocused. They're all over the place.
Yes, they are unfocused. They are all over the place. But I honestly, again, did not feel connected to this movie until I listened to the two of them discussing it after the fact. I think at the time, I didn't have enough of what they were going through from their own points of view. It was very eye-opening listening to them discuss how everything happened after the fact, how like how they felt about the scenes going on. And I get it. Young boys in high school, they're not going to talk about things. Young boys in high school, they're just going to go through and do what they need to do. But again, we just have a difference of opinion on this one. Like I want it to work. I really want it to work. And again, I understand why it's so important. But yeah, just didn't hit for me as hard as it should have, I think. And now I'm like getting really like hot and flustered because I feel like I'm like, oh, I'm just on the wrong side of history here. That's what this is. And it's annoying and frustrating because I don't want to be on that side, but that's just where I'm at.
Well, I mean, it's, and then, yeah, I mean, it's funny because like, I mean, you're right. Like high school boys don't open up. Like they're not going to open up about their feelings. And no. I think in particular, Arthur is really not. Like, I mean, I think Will is a little more level-headed and understands like, yes, I have a child. And yes, I've had fucking 2 knee surgeries before I'm 18. So like
there's a pragmaticness to Will.
Yeah,
but his mom's very measured as well. Like his mom, one of my favorite scenes is when his mom kind of asks at the end, like, do you think he's going to make it? And when they say yes, she starts crying because it's like she holds everything together. So seeing her makes so much sense how Will is.
You know, I'm glad that you talked about the end because there's something, and I definitely like I took this note down at the end of the movie because we're watching the graduations and Arthur has to go through summer school, but they both graduate, they both make it, and there is something ahead of them, and I think that in their own ways you get the sense from each of them how unexcited they are about what their next step is.
Just not looking forward. Yeah, just been burnt out on everything.
I think one of the saddest parts in this sorry to cut you off, Adam, but like one of the saddest parts in this documentary is watching the light in William's eyes die as he is hounded by his coach, who I find particularly abusive. And the realization for himself that even though he wants it, he's not going to be able to get there. I think William knows in this documentary, he's not going to make it. And it's really hard to watch. It's really hard to watch somebody get their own, like their dreams dashed basically because of the way that they've been treated, because of the fact that his coaches, he had a surgeon first off that didn't know what the fuck they were doing and tried to tie the cartilage up in his knee, like totally ruined his knee from the first surgery. And then to have the coaches be like, well, can you play or not? What you gonna do for him to then play and not succeed? Like watching that is so hard. So hard. And it's not the way you anticipated going, right? You think it's going to be the opposite, and it's kind of like goes back and forth, which I think is very interesting and like it's real life, like how fascinating to watch. But yeah, no, that was rough. It was very rough watching William just his dreams dashed.
Well, and it's obviously like you can extrapolate and see like, how are we letting, I mean, I don't know if this was the same for either of you, but like in undergrad, like how are they letting an ill-informed 18-year-old decide that he should take out college loans? Like it's just like, why are we letting like not fully formed people make life-changing decisions like this? And it did, I mean, this movie really did take me back to like thinking about like decisions I made when I was like 16 to 21 and just like how idiotic you are. You're very assured, but you're really, really dumb. But it made me think about high school, and I don't know how else to say this. I'm just going to say it bluntly. High school was such a fucking walk in the park for me. High school could not have been more easy breezy. Like just give me my fucking diploma. I didn't know how easy high school was for me. I graduated in the top 10% of Washington State, and I didn't know it until I got to graduation and I got an award. I was like, no shit, amazing. But like, that's clearly just one avenue through high school. And so like, you know, like not just watching them struggle, but like, and then the whole thing with like St. Joe's holding on to his credits and making them like go on a payment plan to get it. I was just like, fuck, man. There is so much that I took for granted growing up. There's so much I take for granted now, to be perfectly honest. But like,
same. Yep.
It was just such a reminder that we don't all approach school the same way. I mean, I have so many. I had 3 students on the basketball team here in my film class last semester. I have 3 in there right now, and it's really, really obvious why they're in college. And guess what? It's not to take my film class, not even a little bit. So it's interesting to kind of like see it in a movie from decades ago and kind of see it in my face right now. I was thinking about a lot when I was watching the movie this last go around.
Yeah, I mean, so much like everything you said, like the same, take everything for granted, but also just how little they were set up for success outside of basketball, and then how that was just destroyed from them is so hard to watch, because Arthur doesn't talk about anything. He just makes a joke and smiles through and is just a kind of personality through it. William sees it more, especially because of his brother, but he just keeps pushing because this is what he's supposed to do, even though, I mean, even when you read about what happened after, he really just was sick of it. It's just hard to watch when it's just, you know, because even having kids, you want to set them up for some sort of success, and then you realize that I am like 3 years older than Arthur's parents when he was a senior. That's bananas. And it's hard. And you watch and, you know, you're rooting for them, but it's just when you're rooting for someone whose legs are getting cut out from under them, it makes it frustrating and difficult.
Yeah. I had a very, very different high school experience to both of you. I will just say that right now. High school was hell. And I, at one point, asked my mom if it gets better. Like, it was no. So maybe that's also triggering for me in this, being like, yeah, high school fucking sucks, y'all. It's the worst time of your life.
I was just giving high fives. I don't even know what happened.
Wow. Must be so fucking nice for you. I was crying in the bathroom by myself.
There's a good chance I did not cry from the ages of 14 to 18.
Oh, I cried so
there's
much.
100% chance.
I cried so much. I had that like traumatic high school experience where my entire friend group decided they hated me without telling me and wouldn't let me sit with them at the fucking lunch table. Like, I had that quintessential experience. It was terrible.
See, that was my middle school.
No. Yeah, that was high school.
I mean, if you listen to podcasts, you've heard most of my middle school friends. So, you know.
Guess what? I don't have any friends from middle school.
It was me, Oz, and Grant, and a bunch of others play basketball.
What's that like? Huh, I wonder. Yeah, no. I think that there's a lot of like, and especially because this is a movie about Catholic high school, which I totally could understand. I went to Catholic school from the time of 6 through 18. Like, sports are fucking important at Catholic schools. I mean, it wasn't mine, Joey. I'm not sure if it was at yours, but like, we would get out early for games. We would have days off for whenever our teams went to state, and they went to state all the time. They absolutely were recruiting for our football teams and our basketball teams. We had like really, really good teams at my school, and I was not a part of that. So that, I think, was hard too, because it's something that I don't connect with. And yeah, but they do. Catholic schools they will give all the money to the sports. That's for sure. All their money. Point of pride for them.
It brings people in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you still go to the football games. I think that people still go to, like, you know, I've been out of high school for 20 years, and I still have, you know, friends from high school whose parents still go to Friday night football games for the high school, because that's, you know, that was where everybody congregated. And my teachers would be there when I was a kid. Like, it was It was the place to be, apparently, on a Friday. I was there because I was a cheerleader, but I didn't want to be there. I was not a very good cheerleader. Well, I mean, I was talented, but I didn't know the sport. So I was like, what's offense and defense? I don't know. I would ask my dad. I'd be like, Dad, are we on offense or defense? And he'd go, who has the ball? And I'd be like, that's okay. I'm just going to call a different cheer. Thanks. Literally, that happened multiple times. Anyways, let's talk about this movie more.
So everybody talk, the St. Joe's coach, everything you read, all the issues this guy threw out there, and, his just kind of putting all the blame on William at the end, especially that last conversation with Arthur. I actually think Arthur's coach is interesting with how much he hates Arthur.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's very odd because, the one thing, and I'm going to jump around here a little bit, like William is kind of physically William from the point we meet him, right? Like we meet him, he's a freshman and he's dunking. Arthur's a little kid. And then we see him a few, like half hour later, and he's 6'2", and so it's fascinating. But, Arthur's clearly talented, clearly all these things. His coach just hates him and just cannot hide it when doing the talking heads. And it's really interesting to watch, where even as they're winning, he's like still just not giving him a chance.
Yeah.
For the future. And it's this kid who's helping you achieve this thing, you're still just, this is just not giving him any any thought that he'll be anymore. And it sucks.
Sometimes coaches just hate the kids on their team. Like, it doesn't matter how talented you are. They're just,
and people just don't like people, and that's completely fine. You're allowed to not like people, but that doesn't mean you're not allowed to root for people.
But and I brought this up before. I had a vocal teacher who hated me and did everything actively to try to harm my voice in the voice parts that she was putting me into. And I saw a lot of that in Arthur's coach, like a person who was vindictive about certain things. There's a difference between not liking your student and being vindictive.
So it's so funny that you say that. In my podcasting class today, we did our first round of peer reviews and responses to their first episodes. And I have a girl in my class who is her podcast is about teaching and wanted to be a teacher because she's an education student here at the school. And she said this thing that I hadn't thought about in those terms, but like, she goes, why would you be a teacher if you loved your subject but hated teaching? And it made me think a lot about people even in higher ed, where it's like, oh, you might be a great chemist, but you are a shit teacher, right? So it's like, you might be a mastermind of basketball, but you are a fuck all coach, right? And it's like, and it does make me wonder, like, whether it's Arthur's coach or Will's coach and Coach Pinkator, but it's like, what is your reason and motivation behind what you're doing? Is it just because you can't play the game anymore and it's the next best option? Or do you really have a vested interest in coaching and wanting to do your best? And it's unfortunate that we don't really see either of those examples in this movie, which I think in a way is indicative of, like, it doesn't matter if you're at a public school in a big city or a private Catholic school with all of the funds. That problem seems to be everywhere, and that those good are really few and far between.
Right. And I think the way that it plays out, that both of them, that Arthur kind of gets judged hard by wherever he goes. I did watch Varsity Blues after watching this, Bud Kilmer of it all, but it's just watching it, and it's just how much adults, even if they think they're well-meaning, just get in the way of kids' success sometimes. And it's a long time. And I really thought this time what, like, the makers of this movie thought about all the adults.
I mean, the coach, Pinkator, sued them.
St. Joe's sued them, all of them.
Yeah. And I think that's totally... I understand they did it because they didn't like their representation, but maybe they should have considered their representation before they invited a film crew in to come and watch them be unsuccessful. Like, sorry, and I know that they ended up settling the lawsuit, but I also was like, well, if you don't like what you see, maybe change yourself. Sorry, maybe actually try to foster talent rather than beating them down, rather than forcing them to play on injured knees. Yeah. It's upsetting.
Yeah. I don't want to necessarily jump the gun with this moment, but I want to ask about like favorite scene is weird, but like let's maybe go with maybe I whether it's most impactful scene or scene that stood out to you the most, because it's not quite the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, is there a scene that maybe stood out the most?
I have two.
Go for it.
The first one is Arthur's 18th birthday, because it's the only time Arthur actually seems happy and light, and not like he has just, even when he's, sometimes Arthur's smiling and just feels like he's getting hit in the face by life. Like when that one time he's playing basketball with his dad at the end, and it's just
that's
awful.
That is mine. Yeah.
It's brutal, but Arthur's just smiling through it because Arthur's very good at smiling through awful things. But I love his 18th birthday because it's the only time where he seems light. And then the one time Arthur and Will are speaking and hug each other and tell them that they love each other is fantastic, because they don't interact at all that we see. They obviously do, but they don't. So seeing that, like, this shared moment was really great, that I don't think I appreciated before.
That was one of the interesting things on the, I'm not sure if either of you listened to the commentary with the two of them discussing the film, but they were talking about how they were friends. Like William was actually better friends with like Arthur's older brother, I believe. But then like they were friends, but they didn't get any film, like they didn't film together whatsoever, basically. So we never got to see that friendship. We never got to actually see them at school together, which was another issue that I had about this documentary. Like we did not get enough footage in the school, or even about Arthur leaving the school. That felt kind of like they just brushed over it. But they talked about like, we didn't see each other for a while, but then we would see each other at games. Like William was talking about how he got a ride home back to Cabrini Greens from school, and he looked over and he saw that Arthur was there, and he just jumped out of the car and put his like basketball shoes on and started playing. And he was like, yeah, and you were still in like your fucking tie and your slacks from school, but you were still playing ball with us. And it was just like their relationship off the screen was so like, it's amazing to listen to, just the two of them going through it. And I was like, oh, I would have liked a little bit more of that in the film. But my favorite scene was also an Arthur scene, and it's when his team won. Like it's when we actually got to see them win in advance, and how fucking happy he was, like how proud he was of himself, knowing that like he helped with that. Yeah, I really, really liked that scene. I really felt for Arthur in the whole time. Again, I really like William and I really like Arthur. I just don't love the narrative structure of the documentary.
So I didn't listen to the commentary, but I did watch the Life After Hoop Dreams.
Me too.
Because I was curious to kind of, without like, you read it, but like to kind of hear from them, like how it went and what they were doing. And it was interesting to hear kind of from both of them how much they kind of were and weren't expecting from the success of the movie, and kind of banking on it. But then just like, again, like if somebody scripted this, you would think a little too much, but then, the way that that Will's brother is shot and Arthur's dad is shot, and just the kind of like the painful reality continues on. And
tough September for Will's family. His brother gets shot, then 9/11 the next day.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I did not put that date
September
together.
10th, 2001. Like, what an odd, poor kid, poor Curtis. He got caught in some love triangle and got killed.
And in the documentary, or not the documentary, the documentary is great. I really did enjoy that as well. The one about after Hoop Dreams. But in the what's it called, the commentary, Will was talking about how one of Curtis's daughters ended up running into the guy who shot her dad.
Oh God, yeah,
really?
And said like, why did you do it? And he said, I don't know, I woke up that day and that's what I wanted to do. Fucking horrible. Just and I think that does go to show what a rough area they were in. The fact that also Bo, they believe that he was being robbed potentially by somebody who from his past, from his like past drugs, or it was a just revenge for something that had happened previously. Like it's awful, like totally horrible. And both of them went through like a tailspin after that for a while.
Yeah.
You're not. I mean, the two most important
Jesus fucking Christ
figures in their lives.
Well, and especially it's interesting how they phrase it too, because you can tell that Arthur is still working through his own feelings with his dad.
Yeah.
After it happens, but it was because in the way that the documentary is presented, Curtis isn't like, he's not villainous, but he's clearly maybe envious of the success that Will is having. But it's obviously just it's framed in that way. And it's nice to hear from Will later that like when Will's doing all that stuff, like training with MJ and not talking to anybody about it, that really the only person he's talking to about it is Curtis.
Right.
And that he actually did have a good relationship with his brother and that it was respectful. And then, I mean, yeah, it's, I don't want to phrase this in any like awful way, but like this movie is definitely a reminder of like just trying to take stock of the moment and like, try to like do your best to appreciate the moments for what they are. And I like, and for Will, like totally changing his path and going into the church and like doing after school programs. And it seems like, well, yes, while he's not an NBA star, like that he has found purpose and that he is moving through. And even honestly, Arthur too, with his clothing line and like motivational speaking, like it's cool that they forged their path beyond hoop dreams.
My favorite quote is from William. He said, "Everybody's throwing their dreams into you, but you got to throw your dreams into yourself."
That
was towards the end where it was just so much. And, I think they even, editing, they cut right to Curtis after that, trying to, but, that's so much. And I am glad that these guys came out the other side of this and were successful because, man, the cards were stacked against them.
Absolutely. Well, and I also think that it's very interesting to see a story where you don't succeed, right? You don't make your dreams don't happen. You don't become the famous NBA star, but you still are able to find value with yourself. You're still able to find value in your life. And that's, I think, really a beautiful thing that I found researching this documentary about what happened after.
Well, and but obviously you can't ever answer this, but I tried to really think about how much differently this would have all been to watch if one of them had been successful and has been in the NBA since 1998 and all this. And it's very interesting.
Isn't it Jalen Rose we see briefly at the camp?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not, I mean, there is somebody in this movie who does. We don't follow him, but
but he's there.
It's crazy how early, you can get scouted and figure all that out. I'm going to misquote this because I think more than like, I don't really know that I have a shot so much, but like the two, as a quote that like kind of wrecked me. And I don't have it exactly, but it's when Arthur's mom is like making him stuff for his birthday. And he's like, I'm making him this because I love him. And he's 18 and not everybody gets to live to be 18. Yeah. And so we're good. And it's just like it, that wrecked me. And you can tell how much she's just doing her best in the circumstances, but loves her son so much. But here's this other line that has the exact opposite feeling. It's when Will is talking to somebody at St. Joe's and he's taken the ACT for the fourth time and his average is a 17.2. So he's not there yet. And this guy says, you got to work as hard as this as you work on your jump shot. And your jump shot wasn't that good this year.
Yeah.
And I am just like, it's just like, is that meant to be motivational? Like, I don't understand the purpose of that. You've insulted this kid twice. You've called him bad at his sport and you've called him dumb. Yeah. Great. I mean,
brutal.
Tough love, right? They're giving him tough love. That's what it is. It's really motivating them to do better when you tell them they're stupid and bad at the only thing they've ever been told they're good at, right? Good job, teacher. in the sorry to keep going back to the commentary, but I think the commentary is really, really good. And honestly, I found so much more of an appreciation for this listening to the commentary. In the commentary, Arthur said that when he was leaving St. Joe's, one of the coaches told him, "I hope I don't see you in the paper robbing women in the streets." And he said, and all I had to do was just laugh. I just laughed and said, "No, you won't." And he was like, "But that's the kind of stuff that we got all the time, right? Like that was just normal. That's just," and they kept on saying like, "I'm not trying to be racist against white people." And I was like, dude, that's not, no, no, you're allowed to not like anybody that talks to you in that way. And if that was your experience with basically everybody who was white in your city, then like, yeah, I also wouldn't like them, right? Like that's fair.
Yeah.
You know, well, you've never been shown kindness. So why would you like these people?
Well, and imagine being Arthur, and you know you're not, your grades aren't up, and you don't have the ride that Will does. So you go back to public high school. You come back. I mean, obviously he comes back and sees that one game, and he talks to Pingator, but at this point, you know, Arthur's team is on their way towards going to state, right?
They're doing great.
Yeah, they're going to the cities. And
Pingator, he can't help but be who he is. And starts going like, yeah, well, you know, if you know, keep in touch, you know, if you know, you ever need something, you know, you always come to Coach Pingator. It's like, it's this like, this idea that like, because I knew you for a year or so, and I didn't even coach you because you weren't on the team that I was coaching, right, I feel like I could still get something out of you.
Yep.
So let's see if we can keep that going.
Yeah. Didn't help you get a job. Didn't help you get the, you know, encyclopedia people to take care of you. But you know, but even I think it's so interesting that they keep Will's dad in it, because Will's dad is even like, yeah, I guess he thinks he's going to get a little bit more from me, and that's it. He's in there, the scene, and then he's gone. And I think that's where Will's, you know, very coy in front of the camera, but I think he shows a lot of different insights throughout the whole thing.
Can I also say that he is so cute with his daughter? Like, it's so sweet watching him, and especially because, you know, like they didn't know that he had a kid. Like, and apparently Catherine, who is his wife now, they're still married. They have 4 children. She's my unsung hero of the entire thing, because she's the only person that I think is honest with him, like about his coach, when she's like, "No, he said you couldn't be there for the birth of our daughter. That's a once in a lifetime thing. Fuck him," basically. And I was like, yeah, bitch, do it. Be so fucking strong. I love you. He was like, she was there the entire time. She was in our house. She was pregnant. They just thought it was my brother's girlfriend. They never asked me, so I never told them. And he had said, like, you know, there's a lot of things that I've read where it was, he was saying, like, you know, they said that he didn't want to be painted as, you know, the young black man who had a child young in school. But he also was like, I wasn't ashamed of her, and I wasn't ashamed of our daughter. I just was never asked. And finally, one day I said, "You've never talked to Catherine about Alicia at all. Like, do you want to talk to them?" "Well, that's my kid." And that's how they found out. And I don't know. I thought it was actually such a really lovely picture of a very, very two young family being together, and like, I don't know. I was really endeared to that, like that little family unit. I thought that was really nice.
You know, however, you know, finding these 2 kids, they found 2 really likable people, which very different, but you know, they really cover the spectrum and why they're so likable and easy to root for.
Yeah.
Well, and it's I think you're right in saying that, you know, Hoop Dreams does become a template for how documentaries are made kind of moving forward. But, you know, so much of what they do now is it's all like reflective. You know, we look back at a time and we talk to the people who lived through the time, but it's all about like looking back and then getting perspective on it. And like, you know, this is a big risk in terms of like, you don't know how these 2 are. I mean, they could easily just like stop playing basketball one year. Like, you know, I'm a sophomore and I don't want to do it anymore. I'd rather not play basketball. And now it's not interesting and you don't care. So, I mean, and you know, and and Britt, I totally understand your you know, problems with the narrative structure. And I think they're sound, but like, I do think it's just like, this could have been so much worse. You know what I mean? Like these two leads could have sucked so hard.
Absolutely.
They could have been giant assholes, right? By 16, they could have been complete jerks,
Yeah.
right? Or be like another person I liked who made me sad, Shannon, right? Like everything Shannon went through. And the fact that, you know, when Arthur's like, Shannon's not here with me in summer school for the first time, he's in jail, like it hits you hard because you see we meet Shannon when he has to leave his abusive household to go stay with Arthur's family, who can barely take care of Arthur's family, but they're making sure they take care of him because they know how hard it is. And then, you know, they easily could have gone that way. And this could have been a really different story if you make different choices.
Yeah. No, totally. And again, like I said at the beginning, even though I don't think this documentary works very well for me, the thing that kept me in it was William and Arthur. They struck gold there. They managed to find these two incredible people to follow, these two incredible kids, teenagers. Let's be real, teenagers are really hard to root for sometimes. Like it can be difficult. And these two boys were just so earnest throughout this whole movie. Again, it's the only thing that kept me in it, and it's what I wanted to learn, like what I wanted to research after. So if nothing else, this movie really, they really endeared me to the rest of this movie, where every single time I saw a basketball, I was like, oh my God, I don't care about basketball at all. There was always going to be a hard sell.
Since you mentioned yours, I had a hard time with Unsung Heroes because
me too. It was like
impossible.
Tough.
And so I went outside of the movie, and I went with Siskel and Ebert for championing the film and like really like saying fuck you to the Academy and like change your ways. Because I think actually for the film, Catherine is like the absolute right answer. Like she just kind of is. But I went with good old Chicago film critics Siskel and Ebert.
I love that. I went with Will's mom just because I loved her, and she was so stoic the whole time, and even talking about Curtis. And at the end, she finally let her guard down a little bit. Like I thought, I really like her, and you know, talk about people just doing their best and saying, "This is how we're going to be." I really appreciated her and her strength.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't get to say my favorite shot. I don't know if I
don't have one. This movie sucked.
I never said the movie sucked. I just said it didn't work for me, and I gave valid reasons.
It'd be funny if you asked to give your shot and then
I don't have one. So in the opening shot, there's a bunch of kids under a fire hydrant that's like spraying water, and I was like, quintessential like shot of like city kids, right? Like we've seen that parodied in so many different movies, and I was like, but this is genuine. This is genuinely, these kids are excited about it, and I really liked it. So that was my favorite shot. It was like the first shot of the film.
Do we have a new category now?
So we do. But I also don't know how exactly to do it for this. It feels weird for this movie.
Though.
It does, but I do have one.
Me too.
Okay. So I want to make sure I get the wording right, because that's really important for this new bit. And the image will come up on social media so that everybody is aware. Now we get all this great dead air as I attempt to find it on my phone. This is great. What we got
great
here.
Podcasting.
It sure is.
Great YouTubing. This is taking so long.
It really is.
Why do you have so many pictures?
Instead, well, no. See, now I'm gonna revert to something different, because I'm gonna just go to when I sent it to all of you.
First time using your phone? What is this?
Yep. Here we go. Okay,
it's been in a lockbox.
Here we go.
Let's remember.
We have a new award, the Lock Martin Award for the most useless part of the movie. Joey, you were excited, so why don't you lead us off?
All right. So Williams' last game is against Nazareth. They lose to Nazareth, sadly, and they don't get to go downstate. There's a kid on Nazareth. He was number 10. We see like 6 minutes of this game. He never has the ball. He's never playing defense. He does absolutely fucking nothing. But you know what he does do? He runs around like this with his arms up, just like a freaking loser. So he is this real person whose name I didn't even bother looking up. And now I kind of feel bad about him because he's a real human being. But he is the Lock Martin of Nazareth High School 19 91 basketball team.
Legit.
He looked like I wrote that's how SpongeBob would write. It would draw like a very excited, useless guy. Just hands up the whole time, little spastic, really stood out.
I don't disagree. I'm going to be honest, I really didn't notice that kid, but he probably would have been my Lock Martin Award as well.
He's just doing this. No one near the ball. Nowhere near the ball. Everyone's playing basketball over here. He's doing this on the court. Pissed me off.
So my answer is I only have a cheeky answer. The most useless part of the movie is everybody at that all-star camp that just looks at Will as he is injured. Nobody goes to help him. They are just Bobby Knight and Coach K just like, the fuck is this kid's problem? They are just not helping at all. And they are rendered completely useless. Yes. So I'm giving my Lock Martin Award to everybody who attended that camp.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm giving mine to the doctor with the terrible mullet who screwed up Will's knee. Like, he was an idiot. Oh my God. Like, yeah, I'm going to go in. I'm just going to, try to tie off that cartilage, which just makes more scar tissue and more issues in your knee.
He did not understand the knee.
Nope, not at all. But he's doing knee surgery. And then he's like, if you want to play, go for it. What? I just want to quickly comment on the image that we'll be using going forward. I don't utilize AI in my life all that often. I don't really have a reason to. But I'm reading a book on it right now because I'm a part of this book club on my campus, and they said the best use of it is when you give very specific prompts. And so I gave a detailed prompt for what I was looking for, and it's just he's so defeated. He's
just
defeated.
It's like the world is so heavy.
I'm going to look it up.
And he's leaning against a microphone, which is great for us, and the little tiny spaceship near him. It's kind of everything I wanted. So yeah.
It's beautiful. It really truly is. I love it so much. It made me so happy when you sent it to me.
I 99% of the time get really mad at the AI stuff. This one made me laugh. I was like, all right, one time.
One time. The one single time I will allow it. Other than that, no.
And I'll be honest, I don't plan on using it anytime soon, but I did for that, and I'm happy with the outcome.
It's very funny. Yeah,
it's very, very funny. It's so good.
This is a very, very, very long movie. But its subjects and
4 years.
Its themes are really, I mean, they're there. They're not hiding anything. The strive for perfection, what it means to be a student athlete, what it means to be a black male growing up attempting to make it into the NBA. It's the injustices of school systems. It's all there's a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff in this movie. So in one way, we could talk about this movie for 44 years. And in another way, I feel like we've kind of hit a lot of the main things. So
I agree.
Not trying to wrap it up, but is there anything glaring that we haven't really mentioned yet that we want to bring up?
No.
That was
good. Yeah.
That was a thoughtful pause. That was good. We considered it.
I really liked this quote from, again, the commentary, because the commentary was so good, you guys. It was so good. I highly recommend watching it if you want to watch it again. But at one point, Arthur makes it he was like, yeah, somebody asked me what I'm thinking about when coach is saying this. And I was thinking, this guy, I'm just listening to an old guy talk. I want to play basketball. And it was just very funny because it was very obvious that he did not give a shit what coach was saying at all at that moment, as he's just just completely glazed over. And I was like, yeah, legit, kid, this guy needs to shut up. He will not stop talking. But I think that was my favorite quote, but that's it.
Great. We got a bunch of stuff out there. So we're going to do, because I don't know exactly where it's going to go. So let's be good. So I'm going to start with Joey. Joey, do you think...
The way you just looked up Joey was hysterical for some reason. Oh my God.
Joey, do you think that Hoop Dreams should be in the book of 1001 movies you must see before you die?
Absolutely, yes. Easy. I think it's great. I think it matters. I think even if you don't like documentaries, I think you should watch this one. So yes, I do.
Okay, fair. Britt, do you think that Hoop Dreams should be in the book of 1001 movies you must see before you die?
Okay, I'm going to preface this by saying I've always said that it's not about liking something that's in the book. It's about deciding whether or not it's a great example of what it's trying to be in the book, right? And for me, though I'm not connected to this, I think it would be very stupid to take this out of the book. Like, just because it doesn't hit for me does not mean it's not going to hit for other people. I think that this changed the way that we see documentaries nowadays. I think that it was a feat, the fact that they were even able to get it down to 3 hours from 250 hours of footage. I think that the fact that it changed the way the Oscars decides how documentaries are chosen for the Oscars, like, those are all things that make it worthy of putting it in the book. Again, one watch, totally fine. Like, you don't need to watch it multiple times if you don't want to. But I am going to say yes, which I think Adam wasn't expecting.
No, it wasn't that I wasn't expecting. You were just I was the most unsure about in terms of what your answer would be.
That's fair. I honestly always knew I was going to put it in the book, but I just was like, I don't know how to say I don't really like this documentary as much as anybody else, you know?
There you go.
It's one of those things.
Listen, you weren't a huge fan, but you put it in the book.
Yeah.
I think,
and sometimes I'm wrong. It's
you
fine
came
if
out
I'm
even Steven at the end, I would say.
There we go.
I think this should be in the book. I've enjoyed it the times that I've seen it, and like, honestly, a couple, like 2.5 weeks, but I watched this, I watched OJ, I watched Last Dance, and I really just kind of immersed myself in, like, those who have talent and do succeed and what it does to your psyche, and those who have talent but don't succeed, and the drive for what it means to have sports perfection. And I really do truly love this movie. And reading more about the guys and listening to them years later, I think this is just it's a feat. It's a feat. That's and awesome. I very much enjoy it. So it's 3 yeses for Hoop Dreams. We all think it should be in the book, but of course we want to know what you think. Do you like Hoop Dreams? Have you seen Hoop Dreams? What do you think? So find us on the socials, give us likes and subscribes. Subscribe on YouTube. Do that. Just subscribe, view and watch and all that good stuff.
My parents really like our YouTube, so that's good.
Amazing. And Joey, what are we talking about next?
We're talking about Cars in Love. We're watching Crash 1996.
I legit almost spit take. Like, that was
great.
Oh my God. I was so close to ruining my microphone. That was oh my God, you guys, I hate this movie so much. I hate Crash. So we're gonna see what happens.
So I haven't told you to this. And I guess shameless plug. I'm in the middle of that Michael Mann series of
it's so good. It's so
essays
good.
coming out. Crash is the next movie I'm writing about. I've not told either of you this, so I'm using this time. And I also am not a fan of this movie. So we'll see how it goes. But I am going to use this time to watch like 9 Cronenberg movies I have not seen. So I'm going to try to go deep. I haven't seen Shrouds. I haven't seen Crimes of the Future. I have not seen Shivers. So that's on my list too. No. I have seen Shivers. I haven't seen The Brood. That's the one I haven't seen.
The Brood is so good, and it has your favorite actor in it. Grandier.
I have nothing against Oliver Reed. I have everything against the Devils.
Everything against Oliver Reed and everything against the Devils.
No, to quote my friend Ian Woodington, Oliver Reed was a person you could not like badly. I have nothing against the man. I have everything against that movie.
I did download the book, so I'm really excited to read very technical porn. Apparently, is what I've been told.
I started reading it. I read the first chapter. I can't tell you how uncomfortable it is to read about how the semen smeared on the car seat. Like, I'm like, great. What a fantastic image. Joey, thank you so much for bringing this back into our lives.
That's what I do.
Do you like this movie, Joey?
Why would I spoil that?
Fair enough.
I want people to listen to the next episode. Be like, all right, Britt and Adam are going to shit all over it.
No, not true.
not true.
Excuse me. No. I think if I'm going to shit on something, I at least have I have a well-researched reason why I will note it out.
I will not be reading the book. I'll tell you that.
I am.
That's fair.
I'll let you know.
And we'll find out more next time. But until then, I am Adam.
I am Britt.
And I continue to be Joey.
And we will see you for Crash.